Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. What month is this? You said August. No. For real. It's August. Okay, wow. Well, it being August means the theme for the month is On the Wings of Love. Okay, I'm not going to sing. And today we specifically are talking about the launch of love. What if that said lunch? The lunch of love. Anyway, this month we begin our journey by understanding the foundations of love. Just breathe that in for a moment. Because from this foundational understanding, we can then discover how to apply it. How do we embody it? How do we ensure that that is what radiates outward? And as it radiates outward, is creating nurturing and compassionate settings and atmospheres and environments where more meaningful connections can occur. Because when that happens, we are far more likely to step into those deeper connections, those more meaningful connections. Because after all, it is precisely those connections, meaningful connections, that give us the ability to heal and transform and create a world that works for all. So if you are ready to begin, let us begin with a basic question. What is love? And we're going to dive in a little bit later, but what is love? Well, according to Gandhi, where there is love, there is life. So clearly he's putting these two together in some way. If there's love, then there's life. Which for us in Science, Mind, and Spirit 4.0, we understand that love, life, God, source, spirit, wisdom, it's all the same thing. So clearly, where there is God, there is love. Where there is love, there is life. Where there is life, there is love. Where there is love, there is God. Right? Synonymous. It all means the same thing. To which Dr. Holmes adds, love points the way, and law makes the way possible. So I want you to process this for a second. Where there is love, there is life. Love points the way. Now, if I were to ask you, what does that mean? How is love pointing the way? And how is law making the way possible? What is the way? Is the way how we live? Love says, where I am, there is life. That is the way. And the law makes living, moving, and having our beingness possible. Okay, we'll start there as a premise, but we return to our original question of what is love? Any guesses? Well, according to the Greeks, they developed several different words to represent different aspects of love. Now, immediately we're going to jump into the idea that there is life affirming and there is non life affirming expressions. Because mania is a non life affirming expression. Eros could be either or, right? Agape can only be life affirming. But generally, we are given the idea that there are different ways we can express or embody love. The love you feel as part of a team, as part of a group. I just watched second episode of a documentary, or third episode of a documentary called Feet First, where the documentarian is following people chronicling their life as they're approaching the end. The general idea is in California, they have the right to die as part of the law, the legal system. So anyone who's terminally ill can put forth the request to consume certain medications to make their own death possible. And so the filmmaker is following various people. She started with her mother, she then followed her father,
And then in this episode, it's a young man who was a part of a hockey team when he was growing up. And he talked about how the bonds of that family, the bonds of that group, have developed many great, deep, meaningful friendships that have continued over the years. Philia. It's why Philadelphia is referenced as the city of brotherly love. Team, group. So there are all kind of ways that we can express and embody love. But what is it? Love is a complex emotion encompassing a range of strong and life affirming feelings, including affection, intimacy, and connection, attachment. Often described as a deep bond or connection with another person. Doesn't have to be a person. You can love your pet. You can love the family heirloom that your grandmother gave you, right? It doesn't have to just be. It is how we develop connection to, and it's deep, meaningful connection, right? It's not just superficial connection of, I'm connected to my phone. I love my phone. It gives me the ability to do all kind of things. Well, yeah, I get you. I hear you. But that's not what we're talking about. So it can be experienced in various forms, such as familial love, romantic love, or platonic love. And it can involve both intense passion and deep commitment. Ultimately, love is a personal experience, unique to each individual. And it can bring great joy and happiness, but it can also bring challenges and heartache. Now, for me, heartache would imply grief. The grief that happens when my parents died at their respective times. There was heartache, there was grief, there was sadness, there was mourning. That wouldn't be if I didn't love them or wasn't deeply connected in meaningful ways to them. It would have been, oh, okay. Like there's a certain minister whose name I will not speak right now, but you can Google, who for years was prominent in, the Christian nationalist movement or whatnot. And recently he made his transition. There's no heartache. Now, some may say that's cruel of me because, as a minister, but, I bless him on his way into the next life after life, for he too is an expression of God. But I don't feel there was no meaningful connection with him. So, you ready? Okay, so, mm, yeah, let's go on. I was going to say something first, but we'll go. The symbolism of love, the heart, often used because when we feel it, it's in the chest region. In terms of the chakras, the heart chakra, anahata, is the symbol representing the energy of the heart chakra. For some, they use the color pink, but traditionally it's green. I'm not going to go over this, so I invite you to either screen capture or come back to it or send an email and ask for it. But in general, when your heart chakra is out of balance, when the lotus of the heart chakra is closed or closing, it can manifest as difficulty forming healthy relationships, which means it's going to form unhealthy relationships. It can result in feelings of isolation and loneliness. It can be the holding on to the attachment to past hurts and grievances, the inability to forgive. Okay. In a balanced state, it leads to healthy relationships, the ability to give and receive love, joy, and a sense of meaningful connection to others. So, not only as a symbol, but as an energetic center. Okay, moving on to the next concept from one of my favorite movies of all time. When Neo meets this family of programs in the subway, a conversation ensues. because the father references the love he has for his daughter. Neo is confused. Neo says, I just have never, Ramachandra responds, heard of a program speak of love? Well, it's a human emotion. No, it's a word. What matters is the connection that the word implies. I see that you are in love. Can you tell me what you would give to hold on to that connection? Anything. Then perhaps the reason you're here is not so different from the reason I'm here. So love is a word that implies connection. Keep that in mind. Love is a word. What that word implies, what matters, is the connection. Okay? Dr. Holmes says, life is not only where we are, it is what we are. What did Gandhi say? Where there is love, there is life. Life is not only where we are, it is what we are. It is in as well as all around us. And the whole impulsion is love. Love is a word. What matters is the connection that that word implies. The universe does not rest on the shoulders of love, the connections that that word implies. For the connections are the real lodestones of life. If you're not sure what lodestone means, I invite you to Google it. Hey, Google, what does lodestone mean? Oh, it actually popped up. I wasn't expecting. That's funny. My phone is listening to me. Ooh, AI listening. Okay, so I invite you to do the same. Google, what is lodestone? Gemini, what is lodestone? Siri, what is lodestone? Ask, okay? But love is the real lodestone of life. Love is a word. The word references the connection. That word is about the meaningful connections. Those meaningful connections are the real lodestone of life. So, in this thing called life, there is only one life, and that life is God, and that life is your life now. Means we are invited to live life in a way where we grow, we blossom, we bloom. We grow in love, as love, with love, for love. If we are living this thing called life and void of love, there's a problem. Void of those connections, there's a problem. As Maya Angelou said, I am grateful to have been loved. What is love? Meaningful connections. I am grateful to have experienced meaningful connections. I am grateful to experience them now and to be able to experience them because these connections liberate. I am grateful to have been loved and to be loved now and to be able to love because love liberates. So if we're living this thing called life and we're void of love, how can we be liberated? If we are void of the meaningful connections, whether with other people or animals, nature, how do we liberate? How do we heal? Dr. King reminds us, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Well, if love is a word that represents meaningful connections, then hate would represent the lack of those connections. So we cannot use disconnection to drive out or somehow become. Wait, what? Wait, right? Keep that in mind. If we are attempting to, for example, someone's in a cult, CULT, not a cult, OCCU, okay, cult, CULT. Does my shaming them help to heal them? Does my hatred of the cult somehow heal them of the hatred the cult has indoctrinated them to feel towards me? No. That's why all interventions, whether it's for drugs and some other addiction related to alcohol, etc., or being in a cult and being deprogrammed, all of them require a level of compassion and being able to connect with the person at a deeper level in order for their guard to come down, for them to then be willing to receive help, in order for them to be liberated. Because love liberates, hate does not. So, once again, in this grand scheme of things, light being our current representation of love, how are you shining your light? And the shining of your light does what in your life and in the life of those around you? For the symbolism, the darkness is seen as the ooh. But in the overall thing, darkness is not the villain or the enemy. Darkness is yin. This is about balance. Know when to bring light and when it should be dark. Balance. If it was meant to be light all the time, the planet wouldn't move and the sun wouldn't appear to rise and set. It would just be daytime. We'd have 4 suns or something around the planet so that all 4 hemispheres, north, south, east, and west, there would be light. But it's supposed to move and darkness, light, darkness, light. When you put a seed into the earth, does the soil and turn the light on? No. It starts in the darkness, it emerges, and then photosynthesis and whatnot happens as now the bloom receives the light. Yet the roots are still submerged in the dark. Balance. How are you balancing this thing called your light, your love, your connections? It is our duty to fight for. Pause. I know some of y'all don't like the word fight, so feel free to swap it out for. It is our duty to stand in principle for our freedom. It is our duty to win. Some of y'all don't like the concept of win because it implies competition. It is our duty to succeed in attaining freedom. We must love each other, be connected, and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Once we lose our chains, we are free, we are liberated. It changes the way we show up in the world. Asata Shakur is inviting us into a space to ask us, am I doing the work I need to do in order for there to be freedom, not just for me, but for everyone? Am I doing what I need to do to take responsibility and accountability to ensure that we succeed in that freedom? To what degree am I loving and supporting and being connected to what degree am I willing to let go of the chains? So this year in Washington, D.C., celebrating World Pride, an artist was commissioned to come up with a symbol, a painting to represent such an auspicious event. So this fabric of freedom was created. The fabric of freedom was the official theme for World Pride, Washington, D.C., 2025. A powerful reflection of resilience, unity, and liberation. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to the incredibly talented artist, Adrian Muse, for creating the official artwork, beautifully capturing the spirit of this historic celebration. The piece is built around 4 hands spelling FREE in American Sign Language, tied together by golden thread. Each hand is engaged in mending or sewing, a visual metaphor for how queer communities are continuously weaving connection, resistance, and healing into the fabric of society. And rather than focusing only on the traditional rainbow flag, this quilt behind the hands subtly pulls tones from multiple pride flags, including trans, lesbian, and progressive, without directly replicating them. This approach allowed Adrian to emphasize inclusivity without leaning into overt symbolism. The thread unifying the hands speaks to collective labor, chosen family, and the process of creating freedom together. One hand forms a peace sign, grounding the entire composition in love and nonviolence, which is a nod to both protest and a sacred gesture. How are you involved in the fabric of freedom, sewing and mending, in order for all to be free, in order for there to be a world that works for all? To love well is the task in all meaningful relationships, not just romantic bonds. To be connected well, to be well connected in healthy ways is the task in all meaningful relationships. Do you realize that, per what Bell Hooks said, not just romantic relationships, we have been indoctrinated into a very toxic culture referencing affection and love? You know that? Did you know that there was a moment when former President Biden was photographed giving his son a hug and a kiss that hit the internet as though you would have thought it was the end of the world? Such as this. Does this look like an appropriate father son interaction to you? What? Yes, so we are invited to stop with the ignorance, because it's straight ignorance. And when I say, so does this look like an appropriate father son interaction to you? Yes, why would it not? Why would it not? Why would anyone read into this something sexual? Now, let's pause, because there was a time when I had been conditioned in such a way. So I understand the concept. I understand the depth of the programming. I also understand, as John Pavlovitz goes into, when he says fathers should kiss their sons, excuse me, so that their sons grow up to be men who don't see compassion as a character flaw, who don't mistake toughness for strength, who aren't afraid to love people fully. We could use more men like that now. And I invite you to go read part of the blog that he shared, because he references how the last time he had an opportunity, when his father pulled him close, gave him, put cheek against cheek, kissed him, and said, "I love you, sweetheart." And then John never saw him again because his father suddenly died a month later. And he says he was grateful for that one last kiss, grateful for that one last sweetheart. What's wrong with that? Why do we not love without restriction? Why do we feel like we need to maintain, contain, restrict, and limit the expression of love? In reference to this, I remember seeing this blog post, as it says, 2016, so it's rather old. And interestingly enough, should black fathers kiss their our children? They misspelled there. It's cool, which is just funny to me. But why wouldn't Why is this even a question? And I invite you to go read the full blog as well. But why is this even a question? Why wouldn't Black fathers kiss their... Well, interestingly enough, let's look at the statistics. Out of roughly 179 Black men, 77% had never had their father say the words, I love you, to them. 64% can't remember the last time they said the words, I love you, to another man. 39% think that kissing their father or son makes them soft or less than a man. And then 24% think there's nothing wrong with kissing and hugging their father and or son. 24% is a very small number that thinks there's nothing wrong with it. 77% having never received it. These are shocking stats. When do and how do we heal this so that it becomes part of our healing nature? A father's love is his son's first lesson in what it means to care for someone with all your heart. Why is it not normal, deemed normal, acceptable for a father to love and express love and affection to and for their son, or the son to and for the father? Yes, there was a time when I was growing up that I shied away from, because my dad would give me a hug and a kiss, and, I was like, Dad, because I was afraid of what my friends would think. So at some point, I shut off that valve. And then fast forward many years later, I'm indoctrinated to believe that affection equals sexual arousal or whatever. Fast forward, now I have sons, and I have to break the entire indoctrinated cult like belief, all of the toxicity around that, so that I can fully love my sons, my grandson, etc. Are we really ready, willing, and able to break the patterns and the chains of indoctrination to be liberated? Because in a world that works for all, we have to love. We have to be connected. As Robert Browning says, take away love, and our earth is a tomb. What is love? Love is a word that stands for meaningful connections. Take away our meaningful connections, and the earth is a tomb. Once again, if we are living this thing called life and we are not loving, we are not connected, then it is like we are zombies simply going through the routine. We're existing, not living. So we're being invited into a space where we redefine what love is and what it means to embody it and express it. Recreate what it means to have meaningful connections and all of these things. Redefine, recreate a brand new love. A brand new meaning of it, a brand new embodiment of it, a brand new expressing of it. Breathe. Because Dr. Holmes reminds us, if we look for a God of love, we must look long and deeply into each other. In other words, rather than looking for a God out there who loves or is love, we do it best by loving the people we are with, looking into and through them to recognize their divinity and the love that's there and this connection. We must look away from the differences until we penetrate into the unity of the whole, because love alone reveals love, whereas hate but hides the gleam. So I know we haven't done it in a while, but we're going to remix. Are you ready? If we want to embody that which God is as love, we must be able to recognize that love, that divinity, that God in each other. We must learn to celebrate and honor our diversity and differences, no longer allowing them to be a source of separation. We must practice unity of the whole while respecting how God expresses as all of the wondrous various parts. Love reveals, reflects, and reciprocates love, whereas hate hides the gleam and dulls our senses. Hate ensnares us and prevents us from truly living, because hate separates us and segregates us, whereas love is the very essence of connection. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, the Buddha taught that it is possible to live 24 hours. What? He said, how long? It is possible to live 24 hours a day in a state of love. Every moment, every glance, every thought, and every word can be infused with love. He said 24 hours. That's a whole day. That's pause, because it really isn't that big of a deal. We already understand the concept. How many hours in the day are you human? 24. How many hours in the day are you affected by gravity? Provided you're not an astronaut, and even then there's a certain 24. Okay, well, how many hours in a day are you? You said Wednesday you're somebody else. No. 24 hours, that's a different day of the week though, but at noon to 3 you're somebody else. No, you're still you. You're the supervisor at, the local store or whatever, but you're still you, serving in a different capacity. 24 hours. How many hours in the day are you an assembly of molecules, atoms, etc.? 24. How many hours in the day are you a person? And how many hours in the day are you an incarnation of God? All of these 24, we're already doing it. So it's not that difficult of a concept. Our invitation is to practice it consciously. This is our work, consciously infusing every moment possible that we can with love. This is a great notion, but the practice may be challenging and on some days even downright daunting. And this is where we call upon the four immeasurable minds as mindsets, practices, and exercises to assist us in infusing every moment with love. So let's practice loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Let us learn to launch into this month's focus. Let us learn to launch into love and stay there. So the four immeasurables: loving kindness. Repeat daily whenever you can. May all beings experience acceptance, trust, sufficiency, and safety. Say this when it feels easy, but also say it especially when it feels difficult. Compassion. When you see someone struggling, regardless of the details, whether you know them or not, that's not important, quietly say to yourself, I see your struggle. I see your suffering. I too have struggled and suffered. I extend my heart, my care, my concern to you. As I know this experience you are having, it does not feel good. So may your struggle and suffering soon pass. Joy. Start the day with a question in meditation or part of your morning ritual. What joy may come today? not with the attempt to force it or plan it into your day, but rather to be open to all of the ways that joy may flow. Equanimity. As often as you can, state quietly, at this moment, I trust God as the source of my supply. Not as an anthropomorphic, I trust God, but I trust nature to bring water. I trust the sky and the moon to do what they do, and the sun. I trust that which is the universe to supply what is needed. Now, whether or not you have quote unquote proof of this, make this claim in order to bring a sense of even mindedness and trust into your day, into how everything is working together, connected, and that it is not working against us. Acceptance. Where in your life are you unaccepting of life as life unfolds? Acceptance does not require that you like every circumstance or agree with every experience. It is about acknowledging reality as it is rather than wishing and hoping it was something else. For example, Tracy and I recently were in a car accident. For me to pretend or I wish we were, be present in what is. Make sure Tracy's okay. Be present in what is. Go to the hospital. Be present with what is. That's how we move through what is in order to be on the other side of it. You have to acknowledge what is. Oh, that's a toothache. Don't pretend it's not there. Acknowledge it. Recognize it. I don't want it to be there. I don't want to feel this, but I do. So acknowledge it. Make a phone call. Make an appointment to your dentist or whatever you need and take care of it. Are you willing to say yes to the reality of life, even when that reality is uncomfortable or painful? This yes does not mean resignation. It doesn't mean you're completely giving up and saying, okay, fine. Rather, it is opening the door to greater possibilities because it's opening the door to freedom. You are liberated by this. There's no more resistance or judgment or inner turmoil about the reality of what's going on. You find a sense of spaciousness as you're able to move through the challenges of life and then heal and evolve and transform. Is God all there is? Is God love? If so, to either of these, why then would we discriminate against someone? Why would we say that something or someone is not God or is not love? Why would we not love the God that we ourselves are an expression of? Why would we put any conditions on who and how we love the other expressions of God? Ignorance of the truth, fear of the truth, lack of embodying the truth out of ignorance or fear. So, are we ready to address the ignorance and fear so that we can fully embody, fully heal, and love as we are here to do? Do you know your love languages? Have you ever heard the concept of love languages? So, love languages are precisely what they say, the ways we communicate love to one another. Do we offer words of affirmation? Do we give quality time? Do we acts of service? That's one of Tracy's acts of service, being of service to her, helping her, taking out the garbage, stuff, not dropping crumbs all over the floor. Acts of service. That's one of Tracy's love languages. Another way of thinking of these or looking at them is physical touch, is connection. Quality time is presence. Receiving gifts, thoughtfulness. Words of affirmation, praise. Acts of service, help. How do you communicate, and who in your life communicates with you using your love language? Right? Because if Tracy's love language is help, being of service to her, and I never do it, ever. I don't take the garbage out, ever. I don't take recycling out, ever. Now, there are some times when, I slip my mind and whatever, and I do it later or have to do it later. Or, in the past, she was like, he ain't do it yet. I'm going to just go ahead and do it. Because sometimes Tracy says, if I'm going to get it done, I got to do it myself. It's part of her old indoctrinated belief. But nonetheless, because it's not about Tracy today, and I know what she's saying right now. I can hear you. There's the idea that how am I communicating using her language? Do I ever get a tray? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Do I still spill crumbs? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But to not do it at all, to not communicate in her love language at all, what does that mean? That's like me going to Japan, saying that that's where I'm going to live, but never bothering to learn the language. Wait, what? Which many of us do. Many people move to other countries, Mexico, Germany, France, wherever, and we're planning on living there, but I don't want to learn the language. Well, if you can't learn the language or you won't learn the language, how do you learn the culture? And if you're not learning the language or the culture, how do you actually connect with the people there? Oh, you don't. The Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 gives us the means to take flight and soar in our lives. Literally, this can be living in such a way that all of our needs are met: physical, social, emotional, financial, spiritual, intellectual. All of our needs are met. Our love language communication is fluent, and that this is the experience for everyone all over the world. Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 gives us the tools which we must utilize until they become second nature, until they become natural to us, until they are then a way of life. You start off, pause for a second. You start off, I'm going to learn Japanese. Okay. How you say good morning in Japanese? I know it sounds like a state. Georgia. No, that Texas. No. Oh, Ohio. Ohio means morning. Morning. Ohayo gozaimasu means good morning. In the beginning, it's okay. Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. Okay, how do you say good evening? Texas gozaimasu? No, I don't know. Konbanwa. Okay, then you practice it. You get the flow for it till you don't have to think about it. Right. How do you say good morning? Ohayo gozaimasu. How do you say hello? Am I on the phone or am I in front of the person? On the phone. Moshi moshi. In person. Konnichiwa. How do you say thank you? Formal or informal? Like informal. Domo. Thanks. Okay, more formal, like thank you. Domo arigato. Okay, like really like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Till it becomes a way of life. Are we practicing Science of Mind and Spirit so that it becomes natural and fluent for us? Because only then will we live on the wings of love in a world that truly does work for all. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I'll say it first. If it resonates with you, I invite you to say it the second time. My journey is an amazing demonstration of my embodiment and expression of love as love. Together. My journey is an amazing demonstration of my embodiment and expression of love as love. And so it is. Your own personal journal exercises or part of the Thursday night study group, ask yourself, what are my love languages? And do the people around me know what they are? When do I refrain from receiving or expressing love? When do I withhold love from myself or others? In what way am I invited to recreate or redefine what love is and what it means to receive love and to give love? What might it look like if I live 24 hours a day in a state of love? If for every moment, every glance, every thought, and every word I infused with love, what might my life look like? When I look at the fabric of freedom, what comes to my mind? What emotions do I feel? And how might I embody the concepts, the themes, the energy that it is communicating? And lastly, how do I shine to help heal the world, to dismantle the indoctrination and the caste consciousness that holds everybody captive, that holds everybody in the world captive? This week's practice, wax on, wax off. So this week, it's very easy. Identify your love languages and identify somebody else's, and then communicate in that love language for a week. Simple as that. So I use Tracy as an example. So for 1 week, starting right now, for 1 week, I'm going to communicate to Tracy by acts of service. I'm going to help Tracy, whatever Tracy need help with. I'm going to wash the dishes if she want me to. I'm going to take out the trash. I'm going to pull zucchini out her garden if that's what she want me to do. Whatever Tracy want me to do, I'm going to help. I'm going to be of service. Now let's see if Tracy does the same. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just Tracy. Stop, Tracy. I'm playing. Okay. Breathe. As we enter into that space, that awareness of infinite wonder, infinite possibilities, prayer. Where today our prayer simply is love. As I demonstrate my connections with others, as I demonstrate my connection with the world, be that with a tree, the grass, the geese, a dog, a cat, a rabbit, whether that connection is with the food that I am consuming or the pot of coffee I am making or the conversation with my son, whatever that connection is, love. Right here and right now, that connection is a demonstration of prayer because that connection is a demonstration of love. That love is a demonstration of God. That means I am in prayer. And as I say I, referencing me, I know that this means for all. Any connections we have that are life affirming and supportive and nurturing, liberating, then we are engaged in prayer. Prayer is not simply something we say. Prayer is how we live. Prayer is how we act. And so I breathe with the great joy and awareness to know that at any moment, my hello to the cashier at the supermarket, when made with the intention of making connection, I am in prayer. When helping someone reach for something above their head in the supermarket or wherever we may be, a department store, I am demonstrating acts of service, kindness. I am in prayer. When I tell someone at the movie theater, oh man, I love your shirt. That is so Cool. Words of affirmation and praise. I am in prayer. Thank you for giving me my popcorn, or thank you for whatever it may be. Thank you to the paramedics who took care of Tracy and I. Prayer. Then what unfolds for me is realizing then I can always be in prayer. My amen can always be an ongoing inhale, exhale. Amen. And so it is. How amazing it is to realize the ease and simplicity of 24 hours living in love, living as love. 24 hours living in prayer, living as prayer. So it is with joy and gratitude that I surrender these words. I surrender this awareness into the infinite law, knowing that it responds accordingly and comes back to me with precisely that. As your words have spoken, so it is done unto you. Precisely that. Your life is your amen. I receive it, I acknowledge it, and I live it. As do we all. And so it is. And so it is. Namaste, blessings, much love and appreciation as always. I will see you either during the week for any of the things that we've got going on, or I will see you right back here next week for the second week of August. It's August already? It's August. Love you.